In this video, I will talk about the cheaper midfielders, so not the mid prices, but the cheaper mids. So I've already done a video on the expensive guys like McRae and Cripps and Neil and stuff like that, and Fife. But so yeah, we'll talk about the mids under around 570,000 for this video. First guy we have is Marcus Bontempelli. Italian, I like that, but doesn't count for much. So yeah, the Bont. Very talented player, a huge ceiling. I think if he plays full-time mid, he'll go 115, 120, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just think they need him forward with the lack of forward targets, and I just feel like the Bulldogs have a surplus of midfielders right now. And yeah, basically that's the thing. He's going to play, I would expect him to play more forward, and that does affect his ceiling. So I don't mind it. I know Bont has had more, a lot more preseason this year than last year. I know he did some stuff overseas, but he also carried a hip problem all last year. I don't know if it's a chronic hip problem, but I did hear at the beginning of last year that he was going to carry a hip problem throughout the year, and it I think it affected him. Definitely affected his preseason, and I think he carried that throughout the year, pretty sure. So I don't know if he's fully over that, or that's something he has to manage over his career, but I'm kind of just speculating. But he did have a very long-term injury with the hip, so yeah, that's that. So I don't mind Bont, but I don't think I'll pick him, but I think he is an option if you want to go for it. So yeah, don't mind Bont. I ain't gonna blame you if you pick him. Next guy we have is Dustin Martin. Now, I don't like Dustin Martin. I think a lot of people consider him a lock. Definitely has a high ceiling, but I don't think he'll reach the heights of 2017. I think that's a fair statement. He did say, there was an interview with him on Fox Sports where basically the interviewer said what he gathered from the interview, that Dustin Martin gathered playing at his peak every week isn't realistic. So that's a quote from an article. So that just makes me think he's going to manage himself throughout the home and away season and not go all out. And it is a demanding sport, so you can understand that. But I think like last year, he did rest up forward a lot. He didn't move up the ground when he probably could have, but and he doesn't play much defense, a bit like LeBron James. I think he averaged 2 tackles a game, which is just appalling. So I didn't like that at all. But at the same time, he did play injured a fair bit last year, and he still managed a 104 average. So if he stays injury-free this year, you would think that his scoring improves. So I think it's a fine pick, but I just don't want to pick it for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, I just don't think. I'd prefer some other options, put it that way. But he's a guy that could punish me for not picking him, no doubt about it. But yeah, I just didn't like the fact he didn't play a lot of defense last year, and I think he's just achieved so much already, so that can affect him psychologically. But it's definitely a fine pick, and I think it's a low risk pick, because even if it goes bad, he still probably averages low hundreds. So that's that. So yeah, not a bad pick, Dustin Martin. Next guy I'll talk about is Seb Ross. I won't spend too much time on Seb Ross. He finished last year really strong, couple 130s, 140s, maybe a 150. I'm just not sure about Ross. I think he doesn't win enough contested ball, and his disposal isn't great. That is the case for a lot of midfielders though, but I just prefer other options. I think he's capable of averaging 110. He accumulates a lot. I don't mind it. I think there are better options. I think probably Dustin Martin is a safer bet than Seb Ross, but I think he's taking on a leadership role now. Seems to do a lot of things right professionally, but I don't mind it, but probably a no. But I wouldn't blame you if you picked it. So yeah, a lot of these guys, I think they're viable picks, but very borderline as well. So tough to get a read on. So that's Seb Ross. I don't mind him, but probably not going to pick him. Next guy is Dane Beams. Has missed 4 games in the past 2 years, 4 or 5. So that's not a lot, but before that, super injury prone, had that quad injury for a very long time. Did have a bit of a hiccup in the preseason and might spend a little bit of time forward this year. Probably not that much. I think he's probably the best midfielder at Collingwood. I think every year he has some sort of injury or something going on. Last year he had family issues with his dad passing away, which is unfortunate. But that affected his football in the first 5 weeks. So if you take away his first 5 weeks last year, it's probably like 110 average. So he's underpriced, too injury prone for my liking though. So he's an option, but I'm not game enough to pick him. Next guy we have, this is quite comfortably my favourite pick of the bunch that I'll talk about today. I'm a Crow supporter, so I can't help myself, but Matt Crouch, I think, is almost the perfect player for Supercoach. Not perfect like a Dangerfield kind of thing, but in the sense that he doesn't get tagged. He's definitely underpriced this year. He accumulates a lot. His role will not change. He can't play anywhere else. And he's not injury prone. Apart from last year, he had a minor hamstring injury. I'm not sure if that was... I'm just guessing, but I think the Crows had so many injury problems, soft tissue injury problems last year. We had our starting midfield from the grand final, like our 4 best midfielders out for the game early in the season. So we had just had so many injuries. And yeah, I'm not sure if that's to blame for Matt Crouch, but he's having a full pre-season and he does score better with Brad Crouch in the team, which is interesting. But yeah, I think he's underpriced. Remember in 2017, he was All-Australian, averaged 110. I think people forget that. And I think in the second half of the year, or the last 10 games, he averaged something like 120 or 125. And yeah, that's pretty impressive. So I see Matt Crouch as a pretty safe pick. I haven't heard much of him in the preseason, but I really like him. A lot of upside to him and not a lot of downside. So yeah, I love Matt Crouch. Next guy we have, Matt Crouch is locked for me. I'm not taking him out my team anytime soon. Next guy we have is Zach Merritt. Zach Merritt was also a lock for me until he did the ankle injury. So he was taken off the field by a golf cart. So it sounded like a pretty serious injury, but there is some aspect to his injury. I can't remember the name of it, but it starts with an S, but it can linger a little bit. I think it's what happened to Luke Ryan last year. But from reports, he's back in training. I think full training. He should play parts of JLT, and he's just been a super player. Last year, after his false start with concussion and inability to deal with a tag, after that he averaged like 110 or 115. So yeah, he was a really good pickup last year if you got him cheap. So I do quite like Zach Merritt, and I'm thinking because of his injury, it's affected his preseason. Maybe it'll take him a few rounds to get going. So he should hover around that price, but it's a tough one to call. Because of that injury, I don't think I'll pick him, but if he looks really good in the JLT, then I don't see why you shouldn't pick him. So I really like Zach Merritt. I think he'll be in a lot of teams eventually. So yeah, one guy definitely to keep your eye on. Yeah, if not for the injury, he was a lock. Anyway, next guy we have Angus Brayshaw. I don't know a lot about Angus Brayshaw. I don't know how he finished 3rd in the Brownlow, but that's another story. He has the worst disposal efficiency in the top 40 disposal winners, which isn't great. So I think he's more of an AFL fantasy player. He's more suited to that. But yeah, he improved a lot last year, and he was with the rehab group a little bit this year in pre-season. I'm not sure why, but I just read that he was. So I don't know a lot about this pick. If you want to pick him and you've done a lot of research, then yeah, you can go for it. But I don't think I'll pick it. I prefer some other options around his price. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, I don't know a lot about this pick. Sorry about that, but yeah. So next guy I have to make some room. We have Rory Sloane. I really like Sloane. I'm pretty close to picking him. He's in my team at the moment. For a long time, he was a very consistent footballer until he started getting tagged. And even when he got tagged in 2017, he still managed to average 110. Now, last year he had some injury concerns. The Crows did rush him in the pre-season, and he shouldn't have played early. So, did finish last year okay, and he is underpriced. So, apart from last year, he's been incredibly durable, and he's the type of guy, first to show up, last to leave. And he's captain this year. Not that that matters, but and he has a new tattoo. You'll see that pretty shortly, in the JLT. But yeah, I do like Sloane a lot. I think he's a superstar. Not only that, I think in 2016 and 2017, I think he was top 4 and top 3 in the Brownlow. I think people do forget how good he is. And his defensive work is outstanding. And I think this year there's going to be a lot more ball movement, like coast to coast, because there's less. There should be less secondary stoppages this year. So I think that does suit Sloane, being able to run defensively. So I get why you wouldn't pick him, because he is 29 now, and that his best could be behind him. I don't know, but he's had a full preseason, and yeah, from all reports, it's been a really strong preseason. So I think he's good value, and I think I will probably pick him. But I can understand if you don't pick him, because there's no guarantee he reaches those heights of getting back to 110 average, which he's done a couple of times. So yeah. And there's another guy I want to pick, is Taylor Adams. So Taylor Adams, he does butcher the ball a lot, but his finish to last year was really good. His final series was fantastic. His grand final, he was the best player for Collingwood in the grand final. He is quite injury prone. It depends how you interpret it. Over his career, he's been very injury prone. Over the last 2 years, he's played. He's missed 4 games. I think it's something like 43 out of 47, something like that. That's pretty good. So yeah, it depends how you want to interpret that. But yeah, I do quite like Adams. He's had a huge preseason from all reports, and I think it's been said that, I think Buckley said he's going to move around Pendlebury and Sidebottom a bit more, and then I think Grundy said it as well. The starting midfield will be Adams, Treloar, and Beams. So I don't think Adams will move around the ground much at all, if at all. So yeah, I think there's a huge upside in Adams. He did average 107 in 2017. Last year he had an injury-affected start to the season. So I think his value, and by all reports, he has been the standout at training this year. And he's the best contested ball winner at Collingwood, I think. Yeah, he's the best contested ball winner at Collingwood by about 2 or 3 contested possessions a game. That's pretty good. So yeah, I like Taylor Adams, and yeah, I think he's an underrated pick. I really do like him. Okay, next guy we have is Dane Zorko. How are we going? 15 minutes. Okay, we'll wrap this up in a second. Dane Zorko has some off-field issues. He's been a very bad man. I don't know. I don't want to get involved in or comment on people's personal life, but seems like he could have some off-field distractions, and he's really susceptible to a tag. So that's why I'm not picking Dane Sorko. But it could work out. It could be fine. I've seen Redden in a few teams, but I think he's had interrupted preseason. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Redden's ceiling. I'll touch on three more. So another guy is Jack Steele. He hasn't had that full year of being a premium yet, but he did finish last year very strong, and I just think he's a really talented player. I'm not sure this is his year just yet, so I just don't think he's proven enough, and also he's playing for St Kilda, so not much to say on Jack Steele. I think you can keep an eye on him in the preseason, but yeah, probably a no for me, but definitely potential there. I'll touch on two more. So O'Meara, I don't mind O'Meara. I think the problem is his knee. It's going to be something he manages throughout his career. Yes, he did dominate preseason, but last year we saw games where he dominated some games, and then the next week he clearly played really sore because in this day and age, players are running like 15, 14 kilometers a game, and that can do a number on your knee. So it's unfortunate for O'Meara. So I won't pick him for that reason, and he should get targeted a bit more by the opposition. So I think it's an okay pick if you want to go for it, but I don't trust his knee. So that's that. And the last guy I want to talk about is Tim Taranto. Seen a bit about Taranto. I think the talent is definitely there. Is the consistency there yet? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think if you want to pick him, it's fine. He definitely improved rapidly last year, and he's definitely improved again this year in the preseason. Completely dominated the game against Sydney the other day, but I think it's a bit risky. I prefer the guys like Adams and Matt Crouch personally, but definitely a cheap option and has a pretty nice ceiling, I think. Not sure about this year. I think he'll average low hundreds this year, and that would be an okay return for his price. But I don't want to, at the same time, I wouldn't want to run too many discounted premiums. So yeah, his scoring last year was affected by some forward time. I think we'll see less of that this year. And yeah, anyway, that's all for this video. That went way too long. So my picks basically, number 1, Matt Crouch, number 2, Taylor Adams, number 3, Zach Mera if fully fit, and then maybe Sloan as well. But lots of good options, I think. I think nearly everyone you can make a case for in this video. So anyway, that's all from me. We'll see you soon, and get keen for the JLT because that's starting in a couple of days. Should be good. Anyway, thanks for watching.